Public speaking has never been more aspirational. Sure, most people are terrified of actually doing it, but almost everyone dreams of being able to conquer the stage and inspire millions thanks to platforms like TED, Google Talks, Goalcast, Mindvalley, etc. One platform you may not have discovered is SpeakerSlam. SpeakerSlam is the largest inspirational speaking competition in North America. So when they asked me to judge their spring competition, I was honored. It was a wonderful evening, but also eye-opening. The same speaking sins came up over and over again. They were the kind of mistakes that at best break an audience's engagement and at worst would prevent a speaker from ever getting booked on real stages by paying clients. And in this video, I'm going to describe 4 sins and how you can avoid them in your own speaking journey. By the way, my name is Brian Miller. I'm a former magician, now a full-time international keynote speaker, author, and a coach for aspiring TEDx speakers. First, we need to take a look at the SpeakerSlam competition rules to understand the context in which these speaking sins were committed. There are 4 judges and 10 competitors. We, judges, are each given 60 seconds after a speaker to evaluate them on 6 weighted categories, which I'll put on the screen right now in order of most weight to least weight: storytelling, universal message, emotional connection, presentation, uniqueness, and authenticity. How a speaking competition weighs each category tells you a lot about what to expect from their competitors. As we'll see, it's not so much that these speakers were making mistakes or sins as they were playing to the strengths and expectations of this particular competition. The problem is when competitors try to launch into the world of professional speaking, taking the tools that helped them win a competition with them. What helps you win a speaking competition is not necessarily what event planners are looking for. Each venue, each medium requires something different of its speakers. Most of the 6- and 7-figure professional speakers I know would lose to amateurs in a speaking competition, just like professional entertainers lose to amateurs on America's Got Talent. Speaking sin number 1, too much detail. Storytelling has become a buzzword in the business community. This is largely, again, thanks to TED and similar platforms prioritizing story over research. And hey, I am a sucker for storytelling. A huge part of my speaker coaching program, Conquer the Red Dot, is dedicated to modernizing the hero's journey and understanding the science and psychology of how to persuade, how to influence via storytelling. Everyone loves a good story, but that's the thing. All this emphasis on storytelling has misled people into believing it's merely telling a story that matters. It's not. What's much more important than telling a story is how you tell it. Over and over, I listen to competitors describe minutia in their personal stories, the way a 10th grader writes a paper when they're trying to reach the word count. The smooth, silky feel of the recently pressed bedsheet caressed my warm, vulnerable flesh, just awoken from a deep slumber, doused in dreams of a better, kinder, more generous world. Sometimes super detailed descriptions do grip the audience emotionally, but more often than not, they bog down your speech, belaboring a point you've already made. And if you can't tell which one is which, if you can't tell if it's helping or hurting, run everything through this lens. Does describing this part of my story in detail immediately and obviously support the big idea of my talk? If not, it has no business being in a short form speech. I woke up having dreamt of a kinder world might just get the job done. Speaking sin number 2, performing instead of conversing. Gone are the days of Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar. We no longer want our heroes to be larger than life, unattainable figures. We want them to be relatable and authentic, to speak like we're a close friend. As Marshall McLuhan famously said, the medium is the message. Some of the SpeakerSlam speeches sounded like slam poetry, which of course isn't a bad thing in and of itself. I love me a good slam. Snaps all around. And it works in the context of a pre-recorded video intended for social media consumption. But real live audiences don't want a monologue. If they did, they'd go to the theater. They want a dialogue. They want to be part of the conversation. Consider this. If someone in the audience bumped into you at the hotel bar after the conference, would they feel like they were talking to the same person they saw on stage earlier? If not, you're performing. So if you're thinking about speaking professionally in front of a live audience, work on adjusting your tone from performative to conversational. Imagine you're having deep talks with a friend in a coffee shop or sitting around a fireplace. And remember, bad speakers talk at the audience. Good speakers perform for the audience, but great speakers converse with the audience. Speaker sin number 3, being in it. All right, what does that mean? It's been said that speakers should tell stories that are scars, not open wounds. A handful of competitors told stories that they were clearly still in the middle of living, or at least had not yet fully worked through emotionally. And yeah, it was gripping, like 10 points for authenticity and emotional connection. But it was also uncomfortable. The audience shouldn't feel like they're hosting a therapy session for the speaker. It's an unfair burden and far too much to ask. The other problem with revealing an experience that you haven't worked through yet is consistency. Yeah, you gripped me emotionally today because you're in it, you're feeling it right now. But what if you have to give a speech when you're not in it emotionally, when it's not so fresh, when you're not feeling it right now? What do? Professionals deliver their message and tell their stories with the same weight every single time, no matter what. In the words of Steve Martin, being great is easy. Everyone has nights where everything is clicking. What's hard is being good, consistently good, night after night, no matter what the abominable conditions. Doing that requires perspective, which you can't get when you're still in the middle of the experience. So don't tell a story you're still living. Wait until the dust has settled and the scar has formed. Before I reveal the final speaker sin and perhaps the most important to avoid, here's a quick word from our sponsor, Conquer the Red Dot. If you aspire to speak on a TEDx stage, or if you're a leader who needs to be more influential in less time, consider joining my self-paced program, Conquer the Red Dot. My students' TEDx talks have led to international movements that impact tens of thousands of people, paid opportunities to speak in front of audiences, the freedom and courage to quit the 9-to-5 and start a business that matters. One of my students even transformed her 6-figure business into a 7-figure empire in less than 10 months from stepping on the red dot.
Get on a call with this man and work with him because it is the best investment you could possibly make.
So if you're a coach, consultant, executive, author, speaker, small business owner, or like a nonprofit founder with a story to tell and a genuine desire to make the world a better place, this program is your springboard. The first 10 to sign up using the special link in the description will get 50% off. That is a massive $500 discount on the program that will take your idea or launch your career to the next level. Speaker sin number 4, trying to appeal to everyone. Again, this is a product of how Speaker Slam's evaluation forms are weighted. So many of the speakers I judged that night had core messages that were essentially the same because they were each trying to find something universal. It was right there on the evaluation form, universal message. Now, if you're trying to reach everyone on social media or intentionally go viral, then yeah, you need a message that absolutely anyone might connect with. The problem, as Seth Godin says, is the only way to do something everyone likes is to be average. General motivational messages about overcoming adversity, pushing through failure, finding joy in darkness, they're kind of outdated. Most of the speakers today who get away with generic inspirational speeches are already famous for something else. They're booked because of the thing they're famous for or their name, not their generic inspirational message. So if you're not already famous for something else and you want to speak professionally, your message needs to be specific. Develop a narrow message from your perspective, serving a focused audience. That's what event organizers are looking for today. Specialists in a field with a unique perspective, delivery, or both. So how do we evaluate professional speakers? Well, here's how I would weight the same Speaker Slam categories from the beginning of this video, but from the point of view of event planners rather than competition judges. First, presentation. If you're gonna represent a company or conference on the big stage, taking up an hour of precious time, the most crucial element is your presentation. How well do you present your ideas? And do you fit within the vision of this event? I'm lumping authenticity in with presentation because today, it's a given. Inauthentic speakers don't get booked, period. Next, uniqueness. As we've discussed, organizers want something fresh. Audiences want to hear something new. What makes you different from the tens of thousands of other speakers they could choose? And tied right there with uniqueness is storytelling. Yes, it's really important when it's done well. Expert storytellers engage audiences and hold their attention long enough to deliver the main message and make it stick, which is what professional speakers are expected to do. Towards the bottom of this list would be emotional connection, which might surprise you. Emotional connection is a natural byproduct of presentation, authenticity, uniqueness, and storytelling. When you're doing everything else right, you shouldn't have to worry about making an emotional connection. You will. Lastly, and for reasons already discussed, universal message. Unless you're speaking at a super general conference for a super general audience, and hardly of those exist anymore, there's little to no value in having a universal message. So to recap, the 4 sins are: 1, giving too much detail in your stories; 2, performing instead of conversing; 3, still being in the experience; and 4, trying to reach everyone. Avoid these 4 speaking sins and you'll be on your way to paid professional speaking. If this video helped, hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you soon.